everybody is having a great day. Um, let's do this thing. Ready? Okay. Never done this before, so I'm sorry if I'm not real good with the camera. But today I'm doing a camera because I think it means more to see face to face. This is me. Hi. Um, Hi Tina. Thank you so much for being here. Hi Nate. Hi John. Anybody else that's here? Thank you, Tina. I've got my fight shirt on today. Um, you can see there's some indentations. Survival indentations, guys. Survival. Hi, Stu. Mwah. Um, Today I am not playing games. Today I am here to talk. I'm already tearing, so bear with me. I am a survivor of both ovarian cancer and breast cancer, which both were completely unrelated. Very strange, but I'm here to give you my story in hopes that it'll heal me a little bit and maybe save you. Hey, crazy. Thank you for being here. Um, okay, so different stream today. I am I'm gonna start way back when. Um, Hubby and I met in 1990. Um, he had two children. Um, Melanoma twice. You have basal cell. My sister's fighting breast cancer. God bless yous all. It's uh it's a tough road and it doesn't end. It's a fight forever for the rest of your life. Um, okay, so healthy, happy, all the way up till 2001. 2001, my husband had a massive heart attack. Was taken to the hospital. I was told that he needed to be life flighted to another hospital that was an hour away because they needed to do bypass, and the hospital that was close to us that he was at did not do that. Um, so they put him in a helicopter, and once he was in the helicopter, they told me not to expect him to be alive on the other side when I got to the other hospital. So I had to go home. We had 5 children, which is our final count on children. We had 5 children at the time. I had to go home, and my oldest was in high school, my youngest was in diapers. And I had to figure out um, who was going to watch my kids while I went and took care of all that stuff. Um, Close family friends drove an hour to get to the house because here I am thinking he's not going to be there when I get there and I'm going to have to go by myself. So the husband, um, which these people ended up being like the only grandparents my kids had in their life. Um, the husband drove with me, um, and my husband made it. He had his triple bypass. He made it through that, but when he was sitting up in the chair after the surgery with, large bore drain tubes coming out of him and just a hot mess, he looked over at me and he said, I want you to go get checked. I hadn't been feeling good. Um, I was 28 years old, 2001. Um, hadn't been feeling good. My periods, not to be foul in any way, but this is one of the biggest warning signs. My periods were lasting about 2 weeks. Um, I had no energy. I felt like crap. And as a mother of 5, you can't feel like crap. It doesn't work well. Um, Once we got him home, I went to our family doctor and got checked. Um, and he sent me for stat tests. They wouldn't let me leave the testing place. Um, Long story short, I was at this radiology place, and I ended up having probably 10 more tests than what they had initially ordered. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what was wrong. Then the radiologist came out and talked to me and hubby, and we had our youngest with us, and they told me that I had a 14.8 centimeter tumor. Um, they believed it was by my ovary. They weren't sure if it was my ovary or what it was, but there was no playing games, so I needed to go get it taken care of. So I found um, what do you want to call it? She was a gynecological surgeon, so she only dealt with women's parts. Um, and I went to her, and she looked at all the tests, and she was like, "We're going to get you in for surgery tomorrow." Like, yeah, that doesn't happen, right? So, um, made all our arrangements. I believe my our oldest stayed home from school to watch the youngest. We didn't have any other choices. Like we didn't have anything else. Um, so he watched the youngest and got the kindergartner off the school bus at the half day mark. And I went and had my first surgery. After the surgery, we were told that the tumor was so huge that the doctor, when she opened me up, was afraid to remove it. Um, by the grace of God, somebody looking over our shoulder, um, she got the tumor out, and they usually put it in what you would think of as like a baking bowl that you would have in your kitchen, like a sterling, um, not sterling, can't think of the word, having a brain fart, but a big metal bowl. So the second it touched the metal bowl, uh, the tumor opened up, it eviscerated. If that had done that inside of me, I wouldn't be here today. Um, Somehow she was able to get that tumor out of me in one piece, um, without it bursting. Um, she didn't know how it happened. She said that there had to have been a guardian angel sitting on me. That she was so sick because all she kept thinking was this woman has nine. This woman has sorry, not nine. This woman has 5 children at home. Um, so yada yada. I woke up from the surgery and she sat with me and my husband and she said, all I did was take the tumor out. Um, I am 100% positive that it is cancer. Um, you have to go see an oncologist. I'm going to send you to the best in the area. It's going to be a hike for you, but you need to go. You need to get seen, and you're going to have more surgery. All my job was is to get the tumor out, and so that we can run diagnostics on it, um, and find out what we're dealing with. And then they're going to have to go in and do a look see. So okay. Went to the other oncologist, and he was a gynecological oncologist. So he only dealt with women's cancers. He was really cool, very cool guy. So we scheduled that, I don't know, a week or two later. It wasn't very long at all of a wait. Um, he went back in, he did some lymph node biopsies, took the sentinel lymph nodes out, which are the 1, 2, or 3 stages away from where the actual tumor was. So the tumor was, um, strangely, and they don't know why. So your ovary is the size of an almond. Um, Imagine 14.8 centimeters. That ovary stretched. That cancerous tumor was completely encapsulated inside of my ovary. They don't know why, but that ovary stretched and kept that cancer inside. Um, so he was going in to do the sentinel to see if it was into my lymph nodes, which meant that then they would have to do more steps. So they went and did that. God, I don't know why. Not a single lymph node came back with anything in it. So because of my age, um, the doctor wanted to do a full course of chemo and all that stuff. Now, I have a husband at home that had just recovered from triple bypass surgery. He's not able to work. He's not able to really do much of anything right now. I've got 5 kids. I'm up and moving after that first surgery because it was just a very small incision that they made. Well, not really. They actually had a whatever. It was a small incision compared to what I have now. Um, but so I'm talking with the oncologist, and he wants to um, go right into chemo and radiation. And I'm like, I know my body. I know I'm going to have a horrendous time with this. And I know that it's going to be, I'm sorry if this is off. I'm trying. There we go. Um, I know I'm going to have a horrendous time with it. So I made the decision and I told this doctor, I said, you're going to go in. I know you went in and you did the lymph nodes, but you're going to go in and you are going to search and take out every other thing um, that you can take out, that you need to take out, and just take it out and run tests on it. And if you find cancer anywhere, because here, this was my thought process. So you're telling me that my cancer tumor was completely encapsulated inside of the ovary itself. You took out the sentinel nodes and there was nothing. So why I know that one cancer cell can do it. But if you're not finding anywhere, why am I going to deplete my body when my body needs its strength? I don't know if that makes sense. But to me it did at the time. Um, he agreed. He ended up agreeing with me that if I was willing to have um, very, very, very major surgery, um, and that nothing came back, nothing. I had to have 100% nothing on every single biopsy that came back. Then I didn't have to do the chemo. And I agreed with them. If one thing came back with a cancer cell in it, that to me, that would mean that the cancer moved from my tumor to somewhere else in my body, which could wreak havoc. And then I would have to do chemo. So on the day before Mother's Day, 2001, excuse me, I went in for surgery that would basically put me into menopause, gut me like a fish. Um, it was a pretty big thing. I woke up from the surgery in full blown menopause, which meant full blown hot flashes. Um, I mean, you name it. Like it was absolutely horrendous. I didn't get to step into it like most women do. I woke up. I was like to the nurse, I was like, I don't know what's going on in here, but somebody needs to turn the heat off. And she's like, the thermostat's set at 60 because we knew you were going to wake up in menopause. So I, uterus, my other ovary, all of that stuff's gone. Cervix gone. Um, I laugh because I have I have no class. I'm just going to put it out there so that people know. I've got a screw tube that leads to nowhere. Um, I was 28 years old, um, but the cervix is gone, uterus, all of that. They took my omentum, they took some of the muscular tissue, that covers my intestines. They took biopsies of absolutely everything. They took out, believe they took my appendix, um, whatever. 5 pages of stuff they took and slices that they made of all that stuff, right? And I had to wait a full 6 weeks for all those tests to come back. So during this 6 weeks, um, we try to get life back to normal. I try to do things with the kids to the best of my ability. Um, Having talks with the kids, throughout from the first surgery all the way through. I had to have those talks with my kids that mommy's sick. Um, I'll never forget those moments. There's nothing like sitting on uh, a toddler-sized bed, talking with babies, trying to explain to the best of my ability um, what I was going through. Yeah, it was terrible. It was horrible. Um, I will fast forward through. Um, I went back. I went back to. This is how life just comes full circle because I'm doing this today. And on September 11th of 2001, while the towers were falling, um, I was standing in the oncologist's office waiting room, my oldest child and my youngest child, because I had an appointment that morning to find out my test results. Um, we were watching on TV as the towers fell. I got a phone call from a girlfriend of mine, who I have lost contact with now over the years, but she actually worked for the FBI at the time. Um, and she told me, she said, go get your kids out of school. She said, get them home. We don't know what's going on, and we need to get home. And I'm standing in the oncologist's office going, somebody just give me my answers. And the nurse behind the counter, she said, my name's Rachel, by the way. Hi, nice to meet you all. She said, Rachel, she says, we're canceling all appointments for today. I said, no, no, you don't. I said, I said, I need my results and I need them now. Hey, Christy. Mwah. Um, Doctor came out in the waiting room, gave me the biggest hug, uh, said, you have no cancer. There is no cancer present in your body in all of the biopsies that we did. Go home. We will see you soon. So I beelined out to the car. I called hubby on the phone. Hubby was an hour the opposite direction of where the kids were, and we both just beelined it to school. So, hey, Sarah. Hey, Mozzie. Thank you. Thank you. With my ovarian cancer, even though I had a gigantic tumor, I was lucky enough that I fought and yeah, no. Thank you, though, Lunas. Thank you. I was lucky enough that I had a doctor that supported me in my decisions. If my decision was the right one, if it wasn't the right one, I don't know. I'll never know. Um, but I needed to fight for what was right for me. Um, so, fast forward 10 years from that, hubby's had a whole bunch of more heart attacks. Um, Life doesn't treat him well. He has coronary artery disease. He does not have anything wrong with his heart itself. His heart is strong. The last two that he had, which some of you might are more privy to, he was in the hospital. I think it was last year. So, knock on wood. Um, um, those were the first heart attacks that he's had that actually did damage to his heart. So, he fights forever. Um, I had a foot surgery about 10 years ago now. Um, I had a fibroma in my plantar fascia, which is the arch of your foot. Um, First surgery went pretty well, but the base of my big toe was hurting after that surgery. So we went in and we did a second surgery within 2 weeks of the first surgery, and I ended up with a disease called CRPS. CRPS stands for complex regional pain syndrome. It used to be called RSD, which is reflex sympathetic dystrophy. I'm not going to go into that today. That's going to be a talk that I think that we'll probably have in November, because November is CRPS Awareness Month. But um, that has led to me no longer being able to work. That has led to me using mobility aids to get around. Um, um, a lot of difficulty, a lot of constant pain. It's a constant pain syndrome. I am in pain 24/7. That there was a day that I would tell you that um, I won't say it, but mental health wise, I used to just say it would only be one bullet. um, but I have good days and I have bad days, and that's why a lot of times I'm not streaming. Um, but um, when I finally got my disability award, um, it was 5 or 6 years into me being out of work, um, which in turn drains everything because hubby was the breadwinner for a lot of years, um, all the way up until I don't know. I don't know years anymore. Years are there's just been so much that has happened that I just have absolutely no idea on most years. Um, it's terrible. A lot of stuff is just gone. Um, pain brain. Um, but he was finally put completely out of work by his cardiologist, and it's still the same cardiologist that he goes to now. So I was working full time, 2 full-time jobs, because I was always an at-home mom, so I didn't have the ability to make the money like he did when this foot thing happened. It's now full leg and half of my other foot. Um, but when my disability, um, I don't know what you want to call it, approval came through, we got a good chunk of money. And knowing that both of our lives medically have sucked for a while, um, we made a decision um, that we were going to, for a couple years or for as long as we could, at least one season, we were going to full time RV. Um, so we went out and we bought a camper that we could live in. We got rid of everything that we didn't need. Um, it was always a dream for us that in his retirement years, that's what we were going to do. Um, but life was looking a little shorter than what we ever thought it would be. So we hit the road. We were working as what's called work campers, or campground hosts. If anybody's a camper, you'll know what a campground host is. State parks enlist volunteers. They give them a spot in the campground for their RV. And your job is to clean up campsites and direct people to things in the area to go do and help them navigate the park and dial 911 if somebody needs it and that kind of thing. And we always wanted to do it because we raised our kids. Um, Camping was a big part of our lives. Um, we had a blast. First year, um, hubby had a heart attack. Um, we had to figure out where he needed to go. I don't do good in. I'm sorry that the phone is cutting off the top of my head. I don't know how to place. I don't have a boom arm. I'm just using my phone. I'll lean back like this. Um, I don't do good driving outside of my comfort zone area. And he had to go. We were, I'd say, like upper eastern side of Georgia, on the South Carolina side. Um, and he went down to Augusta. And I had to figure out because I couldn't get in the ambulance because I needed to bring a vehicle, and all we had was our big truck. And I have CRPS. Luckily, it's not in my driving leg. It wasn't at the time. So I'm okay to drive. Um, but I had to get down there. I had to get his records forwarded to the hospital so they could see where he already had stents and whatnot and whatever. So that was a lot. Plus, we had Sasha at the time, so we had the German Shepherd that I had to leave in the camper and get back. So I left somebody the key to the camper, and I was just like, dude, like, she's not going to be happy when you come through the door, but she won't do anything to hurt you. So we had to let somebody else let the dog out because I didn't know if I was going to make it home in time. I said, if I'm not home by dark, walk her because she will go get in the shower and pee if she needs to if she needs to pee. We trained her to do that. Um, so yada yada. Everything worked out great. The guy did a great job. Hubby was healthy. We decided to go home. We went home, and we would stay in a campground here. I'll call this area home because this is where our kids are. So this is home. Um, and then we decided to hit the road again, and we went. And this was 2019, so this was before the hot COVID mess, right before the hot COVID mess. So we were getting ready to leave. We had plans to leave. Um, so because I had ovarian cancer and I went into menopause at such a young age, um, I was told by that oncologist that I had to really be super careful and make sure that I always did my breast health checks. Um, I was so very careful. I'm an adoptee, and I never knew anything about where I came from. Um, and so I didn't know if there was family history that caused the ovarian cancer. I didn't know if there was something in my medical history that would cause other cancers down the road. There's no knowledge with adoption. There's just no knowledge. I think that's different now. I think that you get some sort of information, but I can't guarantee that. Um, but I was always careful, and because I no longer got periods because I had had a complete hysterectomy and oophorectomy, I had to I scheduled a day, and it was the first of the month. And when I got my shower on the first of the month, I did a breast health check. I would check everything, see if anything was sensitive. I cannot say how important that is, not just for women. That exam is important for, hi, Alan. Send Dee my love too. Um, that exam, just feeling and knowing what your body is supposed to feel like in all areas. Um, do that breast check. Look in the mirror. I don't care how modest you are. Look in the mirror. Know what the symmetrical vision is of your breast tissue. Plain and simple, female or male. Because when something starts going wrong and something looks different, it's usually because of a reason. Um, it's God so important for you to know that. I can't even specify. Please do your checks every month. Period, no period, male, female. It does not matter. All right. Breast cancer hits everyone. Um, every single month. Yep. Thank you, John. Good, good, good. Um, every single month from 2001 to 2019. So 18 years. I almost made it 20. I did a check, and the only way I can describe it is it felt like a gritty grain of sand in my boob. and I kept feeling around and I felt like I felt something else, but the other thing that I felt was like a squishy, like, uh, uh, okay, for anybody who knows, I'm gonna say like an Orby. Do you know what those Orbeez balls feel like when they absorb water and then they're like squishy? Okay, so the one felt like a Orby that hasn't absorbed anything, and the other felt like an Orby after it absorbs the water. So squishy ball of goop, it felt like. And my stomach dropped, and I immediately started crying. Immediately. I'll never forget it. I knew we were supposed to be leaving in a month. Not, I mean, it wasn't even a month. Um, yeah. Um, so I went outside and I sat on the porch of our RV, and hubby wasn't there at the time, and I waited for him to come back. And when he came back, he saw the tears and he's like, "What?" I said, "I need to go get a mammogram and I need to go now. And I need to get in now." And he was just instantly the tears. "Oh God, please no." I said, "Something's not right. Something's different. Something I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know. There's something and it's not normal." And I took him in the house and I freaking, "Do you feel this too?" And he's like, "I kind of do." I said, "Okay, there's my verification." Well, to get a mammogram with my insurance, I had to go to my family doctor. So I made a family doctor appointment and I actually literally got in the next day, which is not normal, but I let them know that I needed to get seen and I needed to get seen now. I'm not playing games. Um, so I went and I got a mammogram. Well, I went to the doctor. Doctor was busy, of course, so I saw her PA, who I've seen before. Um, and she came in and she did an exam and she says, "Absolutely." She says, "I feel it too. Um, I don't feel anything on the other side, but I feel it. There's no symmetry changes. There's no nothing else." And I had big uns. I didn't have Tic Tacs. I had so it's not a game. It's really, really not a game. Um, so I got in for a mammogram. Um, it was the 1st of October. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the States. I don't know if it is worldwide. Um, they had one opening left for the month of October, and it was on October 1st. So I got that appointment. Now, I've gone and had mammograms before. I know the procedure, and I go to the same place, and they have documentation. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to take an intermission from my story, and I'm going to say this. If you have not had a mammogram, I think I'm looking at the right spot. If you have not, go do it. Go do it. Get a baseline. Let them see what is going on in your system. Let them have a picture of what potentially normal. I'm not saying that going for one, you're not going to find something and it won't be normal. It'll be abnormal. But hopefully you'll be at a normal stage and you can get a baseline. Let them have a baseline so they have something to compare it to. Okay. um, they had baselines. I went in and I had to go through the whole questionnaire thing. They ask you all kinds of questions. They ask you if you were ever on birth control, if you ever took the pill. They ask you if you breastfed because supposedly that was. I had read all this stuff after I had my ovarian cancer, and I knew um, I had always done the right things, quote, right things, right? Because I didn't have um, any health history. So I always paid close attention to any signs or symptoms of anything that could be going on in my body because my family doctor was very adamant that I was an unknown. Um, People with family history, it doesn't always mean you're going to get what's in your family history, but your doctor gets an idea of what to look for, what to keep his or her eyes on. They didn't know. So for me, it was everything. So I went for my yearly doctor's appointments, all of them. I've always been very proactive with that. So I went for this appointment. Um, Went in, did the whole conversation with the lady. I nursed my kids, uh, almost all of them for their first year, um, because I knew uh, that was what they said was really good for preventing breast cancer. Um, so I did it, not just because it was the best thing for them in my eyes, but because it was also a preventative factor for me. So we went ahead and we did it. We did the mammogram, and they knew which side, and they knew the spot where I said I could feel it. So they put like a marker there in that spot. And they had me sit down in the chair while the radiologist, because I had felt something. Um, when you go to get a mammogram and it's because of something suspicious, and it's not just a regular mammogram. A regular mammogram, usually they have you get changed, you wait a second, and then they tell you you're clear and you can go. But because I had something that was the cause of the mammogram, not just my yearly mammogram, um, they had me stay in the room. And then I had to get back in the machine again to get uh, better pictures. Um, and then after that, they put me out into uh, the waiting room um, that had incoming people in it, still with my gown on. And remember talking to this young girl, and she was like, "This is my first time. This is my first time. Is it really bad?" Like, she just started conversation. Is it really bad? And I said, "Nothing's really bad when you think about what the purpose of it is. Um, it might be very uncomfortable for 30 seconds of your life. Um, but the other side of it is you don't have that life to be uncomfortable in. Um, so be uncomfortable and be thankful that you're given the ability to have this test so that maybe they can catch it before it becomes something that could possibly end your life." Um, and at that moment, the mammogram tech nurse, I'm not sure what she was, came in and she said the radiologist needs to talk to you. And this young girl started tearing. She said, "I was with my mom when that same thing happened to her, and that's when she found out." And I said, "Yeah, kind of guessing that's what's going to happen to me in hell too." And I was alone. And that radiologist told me that he saw two masses on what is my left side. Um, and he looked at me and he said, "I can't say what it is. Sorry." He said, "But I can tell you that from what I'm seeing, do not ignore this. Do not let anybody push you off. Do not, I know it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but everybody's booked up. Do not allow this to go on. Take care of this." He says, "Before you leave, I'm printing you out 2 CDs. with these tests results on it, and it has your previous so they can see the comparison. So they can see what it is that's actually different and what it is that I'm talking about. Um, Here's some numbers. You can call us if you need more copies. Whatever you need, we are here. Uh, Funny. Gave me a voucher to go get lunch. uh, but, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, that was part of the thing, to get people in to get their mammograms. Um, so I went out to the car and I sat in the car and bawled my eyes out and called my husband and told him that I was on my way. And see, this one's really fresh still, and it's gonna be. Um, I went home and told hubby, and horrible decision, but I said until I have my head on straight and I know what is going on, we are not saying anything to the kids. Until I 100% know that this is cancer, we are not worrying the kids about this. Um, we're just not. Um, so I spent the next 3 days. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's cancer. I don't know if it's just a lump. It could be anything. All I wanted to do was get in and get to find out if I could get it biopsied and find out what it is. That's all I wanted to know. I need to know what I'm dealing with. I don't want to be left hanging. And I will tell you, as a cancer patient, I think that is the absolute most horrible thing about cancer treatment is the waiting. Because to a cancer patient, waiting in our heads means that one cell just split into two. And then there's two cells that are going to split into four. So to a cancer patient, they should never, ever, ever have to wait for anything. For test results, for tests, for biopsies, for anything should be a priority. I called every cancer center, doctor, whatever in my area. Now remember, this is October 1st. This is the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I could not get in to be seen. Thanksgiving was the earliest date. So that's November. That's the end of November. That's 2 months away. No. So I started now in my head, and I'm a very pragmatic or um, realistic person. Hi, Chloe. Welcome in. Hi, Phantom. I'm sorry if I didn't say hi earlier. Hi, Looney. Um, I know that we have plans to be going south for the winter. We were going back to our favorite campground in Georgia. That's where I wanted to go. That's where we were going before all of this. So I knew we had no place. I mean, we could have stayed with any one of our kids. Absolutely 100%. Not a problem. But in Pennsylvania, it's really hard to live full time in an RV through winter because it does get very cold. And even though we had a really good camper that was, um, I would call it, um, okay, brain fart, um, safe for winter. It was under sealed. with insulation, and it had insulation in the walls and all that stuff. It was a live-in type camper. Um, Even though we had that, it's still a Bender. Um, it still wouldn't be. It would take so much fuel and gas and all that to run through the winter that we would go someplace warmer. So we had already taken the job in Georgia again to go down there and run that. Um, so I knew that we were getting ready and we were going to be traveling that direction. So I knew where our pit stops were for the ride down. And one of them was in Delaware because Ron's family lived there. And then one was the border, North Carolina, South Carolina type area. We also could stop at, I guess that's south of the border. Um, so I knew those three areas. So I started making phone calls in those areas. And because I was not an already established patient, they couldn't get me in there either. So I was feeling really put off um, by the medical community. Um, you have to be your own best advocate. No matter where you live, no matter what, you have to be your own best advocate. And so I knew we were going to Georgia, and I knew that we were already into the state park system as hosts. So I started doing research on Georgia and cancer centers in Georgia, and I found this doctor, and he was just absolutely amazing. Um, he's won awards. He's done all kinds of stuff. He's based out of Augusta. I don't know if he's still practicing. I haven't been in touch with them since we left. But I called his office and explained to them my situation and that I was heading to Georgia, and they wanted to know what day I was arriving. And I said, well, we're due to be there for the 3rd, but we're probably getting into Georgia. Uh, I'm mixing up this conversation. I must have had There must have been a week. The 7th, I was due to be in Georgia. That's it. We were supposed to start camp hosting on, I think, the 9th. I'm not remembering this right, but whatever. Um, this lady told me the you're going to be arriving at night, and I said, yeah, that's how our schedule is looking. It looks like we're going to arrive at night. Um, she um, she said you come in the next morning. She said the morning after you get to Georgia, she goes, you come in and we will squeeze you in. The doctor will look at your CD and the doctor will biopsy you. First appointment. Now, sorry, flashback. Um, Here in PA and in Delaware, there were not going to be any biopsies when I went to see any doctors. It was going to be the first meet of the doctor. And then after that, then it would have to be the doctor would have to look at my records and make an appointment to have a biopsy done, hospital based. This guy did it right in his office. I knew when I walked out of this guy down in George's office, I already knew that it was cancer. He had the guy from the lab, sorry, brain fart, can't remember what they're called. Um, the guy that actually looks at it and knows that it's cancer cells. He had that guy come up to his office and he friggin' knew right then and there, brought his microscope, and he knew right then. I knew before I walked out of that office, hubby was it was in the waiting room. I knew before I walked out of that office what it was. He took me into this doctor took me into his office with my hubby and said, okay, this is what we're dealing with. Here are your options. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Um, we're setting an appointment. It was 3 days. I cannot tell you exactly what day that was, um, but it was 3 days. You come back in and you tell me what your decision is. I said, I could tell you what my decision is right now. I said, I saved my life with ovarian cancer by making the doctor go back in and do a gut job and take everything. I said, I'm telling you right now, I want them off. You just take them off. Let I not nursing anymore. Sorry, hubby, but if you need fakies, go find them. It's exactly what I said. I said, my life's more important than having boobs, and I don't want reconstruction because I know exactly what I will think. I will always wonder if there's a cell growing behind that silicone implant. That's what I want. Are you sure there's no coming back from it? Because what they wanted to do, um, I don't have a boob here. I should have brought my little fake boobs that the cancer service gives me. So here's a little circle. So in the middle of the circle, of course, is your nipple. So they wanted to cut a circle around my nipple and they wanted to scoop out everything in the center because that's where they believed that's where the one tumor was that they knew of that they biopsied. So they wanted to scoop that out. So I would have like a line across, um, and I would always be wondering what was going on. And there's many women that make the choice to have that um, surgery, but not me. I had a double mastectomy. I am down to there's not even muscle. It's rib cage. I would show you, but I probably would get kicked off YouTube for it. Um, there's nothing. I'm rib cage cut all the way around, and there's nothing. Um, I had my surgery on October 31st. So, from October 1st, when I had the mammogram, to October 31st, I had mammogram diagnosed with cancer, um, double mastectomy, only because I left Pennsylvania. Would have never happened. It would have never happened because what happened? We ended up with COVID. And all the hospitals um, were putting off everything, everything, because they didn't know what was going on. Thank you, Bender. I am too. Um, it's a long fight, but I am too. That was a long recovery. Um, that was a long, long, long recovery. Um, I still have issues. I don't know if you've noticed. I have a sleeve that I have to wear. Uh, I have lymphedema in this arm, so my arm swells up. I have something called axillary cording, um, that is a side effect from having mastectomies. Um, so I have a hard time with my left arm, and my left arm is my dominant arm. Um, so I have limited motion, limited strength. It is what it is. Um, I got my results back. So they took both, which was the decision I made. Um, and I, I'll just put it out there. Uh, I'm thankful that they did, um, because there was a tumor in the other breast too that they didn't know until they took it off. So I actually had three cancerous tumors in my breasts. I also had something called, so all three of those were cancer. Um, they also found something called DCIS. It's ductal carcinoma in situ, which is basically cancer of the milk ducts, but it doesn't go outside of the milk ducts. It's the lowest grade that you can have, and they're very easy to see, I think, on the mammogram, and they can be removed easily. Um, but some women do get those, and that's a precursor for breast cancer. So that's what I'm saying. If they can find those before they become full-fledged cancerous tumors and possibly spread the lymph nodes and whatnot, that's what you want. You want to find them early, and that's the reason for early mammograms, early. Um, I mean, they can even ultrasound. They've got it all now. Um, so the tests came back that those were cancers, and I'm not going to get into stages and stuff. That's difficult for me to talk about. But it was an estrogen fed tumor. And anybody that knows anything about the female body knows that estrogen is no longer produced when you have a hysterectomy with oophorectomy, which is removal of the ovaries. Um, so there's no reason why there ever should be estrogen in my body. But something else in my body started making estrogen. My body recognized that I wasn't making it the way it's supposed to be made, and that was feeding my cancer. Um, when my cancer test results and all that stuff came back, we had to have a really long conversation because they all wanted me to do chemo and radiation rounds. Um, and my testing scores showed that I would benefit from it. Um, my testing stuff showed that I would benefit from it. Um, but because I had a copy of the results that came back from the double mastectomy results, I knew. So when you take out a cancerous tumor, they want something called margins. And margins are a depth of tissue, whatever tissue, around the outside layer of any tumor that they remove that has no cancerous cells in it. And that's considered margin. Margin is your lifeline to decisions on what you should do next after they find a cancerous tumor. Um, I had really, really, really good margins on all three of the cancerous tumors they took out, plus the DCIS things that they took out. All three of my tumors had great margins. So I knew that even though I was at high risk uh, because of what it was, everybody, people think that I make the wrong decision, but for me, it was the right decision. We were full time in an RV. Hubby hadn't been feeling good. Um, I didn't want to start doing chemo. I did not want it. I knew that my margins were good around my tumors. I knew that my breasts were off. Breasts were off. All lymph nodes leading to the breast tissue. I had sentinel nodes all taken out on this side. I have a big indentation um, in the armpit. Uh, hot mess, but yeah. Um, all the sentinel nodes came back negative. There was not a thing anywhere. And they did extras on this side that had the two tumors rather than they did set the sentinel nodes, but they didn't do the next layer. They did the next layer here, and they were all every lymph node was negative. So even though my risk category put me in that I should do chemo, I made the decision not to. Um, uh, Legitimate chemo, like have a port put in, all that stuff. Um, so I opted to take medications in pill form that basically were chemo, and I did that. Um, and then, hi Ricky. And then the rest of my life, I would have to take um, a medication that suppresses your body's making of estrogen by some other source. I want to say aromatase, but I could be wrong. For some reason, my brain's not coming up with the right words for that. Um, and I can't think of what the medicine is that I was taking. Um, mm, but that's not even guaranteed. So always, yes, it is. This is about my journey with cancer because it's the final day of the 100-hour gaming challenge for cancer awareness and suicide prevention. So this whole thing is all about my journey. Um, and I'm still here and I'm still fighting. Um, it's been a difficult road and it's not over. Um, like I said, I'm still dealing with stuff from it. Um, and that will ebb and flow, but I'm trying to be stronger than it. Um, and that doesn't always work. Um, but I hope that my story um, can help you understand, learn. You have to be your own best advocate. You can't always allow um, other people to make your decisions for you. Um, I've been lucky. Um, both my ovarian cancer and my breast cancer, neither one of them are related to each other in any way. Excuse me. Um, Doctors say that I am a very interesting conundrum of weird, rare things that happen in my life. Aw, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Um, get your checks. I can't be stringent enough. I understand, you know, no women want to go to the gynecologist. It is not first on anybody's list. But it's not just ovarian cancer. It could be cervical cancer. It could be uterine cancer. It could be vaginal cancer. It could be vulvar cancer. There's all kinds of parts down there that you can get cancer in. And the same goes for men. You need to go to a urologist and get yourself friggin' checked. Make sure things are okay. Any version of different from normal, get checked. Breast, do your breast checks. I don't care if you're a guy, a girl, somewhere in the middle. I don't give two shits. Do your checks. Anything's weird, you insist on going and getting checked. I just feel like, no, it's not. Like, no, no, most, whatever. Having a doctor poking and prodding in private places is not pleasant for anybody on the spectrum of whatever, genders, whatever you call yourself. I don't give a shit. Male, female, go get checked. Get your parts checked. You are the only one that can save your life. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to say this too. Don't blindly follow people. I'm a different kind of person. I need to understand the disease process that's going on inside of my body. I don't want to be talked at. by a doctor. I want to be talked to. I want to understand what my body's doing and why it's doing it. I want to understand my best case scenarios and my worst case scenarios. It's not an easy thing to learn about a disease that's affecting you yourself. It's a necessary thing. Ignorance does not save your life. I'm not going to say that I made the right choices um, by taking my chances and not putting that toxic goop into my body. And I'm not going to say that it's the right decisions for someone else. But what I do know is that I would probably not have lived through it. Um, I have immune system problems. I have this CRPS now, especially with the breast cancer, with being older and having the CRPS, because 99% of the chemo medicines they were going to use will cause neuropathy, feet, hands, etc. Um, I've already got a pain syndrome um, that most people put on the pain index way above an amputation, non-medicated. Um, I knew what that would do to me. I took chances when I had the double mastectomy that I was going to cause my CRPS to spread. Um, but I had doctors that did all the right things. I had an anesthesiologist that knew what medicines that he needed to give me um, to break that brain connection with the nerves that were in my chest that were going to be being messed with. Uh, because my disease, my CRPS that I have, um, is brain, spinal cord, central nervous system thing. Um, I'm very, very thankful that I went where I went. Um, Augusta was amazing. Um, Georgia gets a lot of slack for being down south and whatever, and it wasn't the best neighborhood, I'll say that now, but I couldn't have asked for anything better. Um, be your advocate. I you can do all the research, but actually talk to an oncologist and take your stuff everywhere you need to find one um, that understands where you're coming from. Um, I had an oncologist in Georgia that they sent me to right after the mastectomy to have a conversation about chemo. When I went back a week or so later, this was like sometime in November, and I said I did my research, all the information, I did all my reading, I got stuff sent to me from all kinds of cancer centers and you name it. And I did all my reading about my specific what I had. Um, I said, and I made the educated decision is that I am not going to do chemo now. And he actually got mad at me. Um, he actually, and my husband was sitting right there. It wasn't really super great, but um, wasting his time, something along those lines. And I thanked him very much and told him to have a great life in the kindest possible way that I could. Um, but I'm still in the throes of this. Um, I'm not going to get specific, but um, it's one of the reasons why I took a full, I believe it was 2 weeks off. It's another reason why um, this week I haven't been streaming as much. Channel's taken a huge hit, but I'm doing it for fun. I'm not doing it for any other reason. Um, I have to have my head on right too, just like everybody else. Um, I can talk about breast cancer and I can talk about ovarian cancer because I have been there. My experience is 1,000 times different than other people's experience, and that's fine. Um, Everybody's experience with everything in life is different. Um, somebody can I had 5 healthy children, knock on wood. Somebody can have 5 children with, you know, disabilities, and their path is a whole lot different than my path. And, you know, um, people have spouses that die young. People have spouses that live to be old. People have spouses that can work. People have spouses that can't. And there's financial struggles that go along with everything that I've talked about today, too. Um, Trying to figure out how you're going to pay for decisions that you make, whether it's chemo, not chemo, whether it's taking medications and being able to fill those prescriptions, whether it's being an advocate for somebody else and being there for them when they go to doctor's appointments so they're not alone. There's so many things, there's so many places that people can help. Um, I know that there's places near me right now that do car rides for chemo patients, um, to be able to give their caregivers a break. So your job is just to drive them to their treatment and to give them a safe ride home. Um, I think Ricky, I'm reading your comment. Oh, it's everybody bender, huh? Okay. Ricky, I've seen and heard too many cases of people attempting to self-medicate or be their own doctor. Sometimes you need to see a professional. You absolutely do need to see a professional. You need to get um, input from a professional, recommendations from a professional, um, information, printables, readables. I'm sorry, I'm looking the wrong way. Um, I'm not used to doing this at all, and I don't like it. I don't like seeing myself, but I thought that this was important. Um, I feel like even if you get all that, if you're, I don't want to say strong enough. Um, I don't know what the wording is that I want to use, but you will feel so much more empowered and in control of what is happening to your body if you learn a little bit about what is going on. Informed. I feel like you need to be an informed patient these days. Um, I'm going to touch on something else, and I'm only going to touch on it for a second. Um, Cancer is a double-edged sword. Um, Cancer is an enormously huge moneymaker, for lots of different professions. Um, Decision-based treatments should never be based on the patient's ability to pay. Um, Without naming names, without saying anything, I have been to cancer treatment centers where before you even get to talk with the doctor, you go into a room with a financial advisor, and I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because it's in the rearview mirror now. Um, but you actually go into a financial advisor who um, wants to know what your income is and wants to help you apply for loans to be able to pay for the treatments. And There's something really wrong about that. That made me walk out. Um, oh, really, Luna? Well, yeah, there are some things where an herbal potion just can't fix. Yeah, but there's a lot of there are a lot of things that you can also do to cleanse your body, to help cleanse your body of toxins that are not medical, that are not medicine related. So it's kind of a double-edged thing. But I will say that if you are going or getting ready to undergo any kind of treatment for anything from any medical professional, for anything, I don't care if it's hemorrhoid treatment. I don't care. I don't care. If you are, you need to let them know if you're taking any kind of herbal supplements, herbal, however you pronounce it, anything that's supposed to be like a natural type vitamins, minerals, herbs mixed with other things. Always, always, always let your doctor know because you might not realize it, but they do affect the efficacy. Did I say it right? Efficacy of some medications, and they can really have dire side effects. Um, dire, really bad. Um, oh, frostbite. Hi, welcome in. Um, yeah, well, it's one thing to get your insurance information so that that's done, so that if you need to get rushed for, I mean, we had to do that on the ambulance. Um, and I worked in the ER, and I know that they need to have that. They don't always get the information at the best time frame, but they do need to have that for some um for some things. I know that some when I was working there, now I'm out of work for a while now, but there were like certain ways that things had to be put in to the chart, not falsifying anything, but um, um, certain documentation had to be in the chart for them to order certain tests on a patient. So if you had, um, I don't know, friggin' leg pain and you wanted a leg x-ray, some insurances needed absolutely specific where the location of the pain was, and some were just like, fine that you had leg pain, so they were doing a leg x-ray. It made sense. But some places, so the doctors get not just what insurance you have, that's usually already in your chart, but for coding, for medical coding, they need to know what you specifically fall under, kind of. It's rude. It's rude when they're doing it for Um, I am gonna have to get off of here. My son just showed up on his motorcycle. But yeah, that they need it for. I know they need it for coding, but to tell me about loans and shit. Hang on one second. I'll open the door. It's locked and I'm live. All right. Um, yeah. So it's very important. Um, so they can bill it right, so we can get paid. Um, but this is my story. Um, October 1st starts Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I will be doing some things during that month. Um, I'm not. I'm not just another person. Um, and you can be just another person too. Um, but advocate for yourself. Be strong. Learn. I think that learning takes some of the fear away too. When you're diagnosed with something like this, it does take some of the fear out of it. It doesn't help any when you get told that it's back. It doesn't, none of that. And you're not a statistic. That's something else that's very important that I think that people should know is you're not a statistic. Um, just because X amount of people don't make it this many years does not mean that you're one of those people. There's always outliers. There's always people that beat it. There always is. Um, I think that it's very, very wrong for them to do that to anyone that's going through what I went through, what some of you have gone through. Um, you know, if a man has a bladder infection, they don't tell him, oh, you know what? You could be impotent the rest of your life just because you had a bladder infection. But you know what? Statistically, it's possible. But they don't do that. But to a cancer patient, for some reason, they feel like it's okay to go ahead and tell them how long they think they have to live. No, no. You tell them, we're in this fight together. Let's figure out a plan and let's go from here. So I'm going to leave this one here. Um, the link to my Discord is down below. Um, I'm on my Discord. I don't always have it open, but my phone will ding if you send me a message. If you need to talk, if you need support, there is a place there that says I need to talk. You put a message there. It does not mean that we need to have that conversation there. It's just letting us know that somebody needs somebody. Um, if you pick up a conversation with somebody, um, just type something on there that says I got him, I got her, we're talking, we're good, and you can go into DMs. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you wish. But you are more than welcome to talk right there. Um, will help anybody that needs help. I can't guarantee I'm around 24/7. Um, but I do mean it when I say that I love yous all. Um, I do mean it. I don't know you. I wouldn't know you to walk into you in a store or anything, but the love is there. Um, that's it. That's it. This might be the one and only time you ever get to see Little Lady, or Rachel, as I'm commonly known. Um, but I thank you all for coming out and listening to my story. Um, I might do it again, something along these lines. I might have better backgrounds and stuff like that because I didn't really think this through. And I made this wallpaper as my screen so that I could do this because I don't know how to do like the flippy pages in OBS. So I'm not real fancy, but um, I hope this helps somebody out there. Get your checks. You know, get in the stirrups, spread your legs, let the doctor do his checks, let him do his pap smears, do all the stuff. Go get your mammogram, males and females. Men, go get the freaking rectal probe, check your prostate, do the stuff. Survive, live. This is how you live. You get the places checked. The places that are uncomfortable for anybody to talk about, you get them checked. I love yous all. Um, Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for looking at my ugly mug. Thank you for listening to my story. And I love yous all. Bye.